Hello YouTube, this is Knives and Sturf, and I will be doing a review today of the Puma German Bowie. Forgive the camera, everything is flipped like a mirror. It's going to be a little weird, but bear with me here. I'll hopefully be using this flip camera later in my reviews here. But yes, the Puma Bowie. This is a kind of standby Puma knife that was made. Their Made in Germany series, not their American series, and some. I'll post some specs on it down there in the box, the exact measurements and weight and all that. But so far, this is just going to be my takes and the major bone that I have to pick with this thing. It's beautiful. Do not get me wrong, but I'll get into that. So, first of all, the Puma knife came in this, lovely leather sheath that I actually like very much. It has this tie-down thingy, which it looks cool, but I have yet to actually find a use for it. I'll probably end up cutting it off if I keep this knife. It has this Puma lanyard retention dealy, which is supposed to go through this hole in the knife here and back up over the handle to secure it in there if you don't like this button snap here, which this button snap is very nice. I like it a lot. It's a heavy snap and it's definitely not going to come undone. You'd have to work really hard to actually lose this knife out of the sheath. The stitching is phenomenal. It is just like, it's really great, and it's actually affixed under one of these bolts here so that it's not going to just like come out there. And all this up in here is bound very well. The whole leather workmanship of the sheath is actually very remarkable. It's very good. All kinds of good riveting going on. Moving on to the knife. Yeah, it's a beautiful knife, no doubt about it. It is aesthetically beautiful, and that was the first thing that struck me about it. Is that it's beautiful. It's made out of shed stag, so it's not actually like they killed the animal for its horn or its antler. It was shed naturally, and apparently it's Indian stag. Yeah, and the stag handles are beautiful, and it's got this hilt guard here, which is actually very ergonomic. Fits in your hand very well, and it's a traditional Bowie style. Some people prefer the over the thumb one as well, but I mean it's not a combat knife, so I don't see a problem with it. It has this little, I don't know if you can see it, it has that little tiny dot right there. Right there. Which is indicative of a Rockwell hardness of somewhere in the range of 57 to 60. And apparently they do that with a diamond tip needle and, kind of drill it in a little bit just to test the Rockwell hardness of the steel after it sets, to make sure that it's up to snuff, which the steel is Puma's own recipe, and it's a high quality cutlery steel, which they've altered to make it corrosion resistant and kind of like a 440 stainless, sort of, but maybe a little better, like in terms of hardness. It does, the edge is a little come and go, you can get it real sharp, but then after a lot of use, it will go away. It's not like, a harder steel. It will get dull. Okay, but the benefit of that is, of course, that it can be sharpened to the point that you can shave your face with it. It's ridiculous. And full tang, naturally, what would you expect? And the tip, I really do enjoy the tip on it. It's a nice, the profile actually widens towards the tip there. It's very nice. And this wedge is built beautifully, and it has this top end here, which would be ideal for like batoning or something of that nature. On to the bad, the very, very bad. So upon getting this, I was like, sweet, awesome, and I noticed it was really light, and I was like, oh, okay, whatever, and I just started using it and chopping wood and whatever, and I noticed that the tang actually protrudes out of the stag a little bit down here, and all the way through pretty much, except for a little bit here. It actually protrudes past the stag. So it can catch on your hand, it can actually cut you a little bit in some cases, and I know that this is not a unique problem. There are a lot of people that have ordered this knife that have had this problem. It's in about half of the reviews of this knife that occurs, that is a problem, which means to me that Puma should deal with that. They should, they have videos of people making the White Hunters where they're grinding there, and I guess they can't grind into the stag at all, but I would almost prefer that they would have burned the stag and made it look a little uglier to just accomplish an evenness there. On to the stag. They sacrificed the quality of the handle greatly to deliver this stag to you. The fact that it is stag is probably more interesting to people that hunt than it is to me. I use my knives for survival situations, survival camps, and camping, and wilderness things. So shelter building, fire making, chopping wood, all that good stuff, making cordage, making tinder bundles, just normal stuff. And I like larger knives because then you can use them for actually clearing a path. This is a good medium between like my machete and my smaller folding knife that I carry in my pocket. So this would be, ideally I would only carry this and not carry two, because I do like to clear brush and not just walk through it versus, and then I also like to have a smaller knife to work on things with. This is a good medium. It's not like 13 inches long like a normal Bowie, it's not at all. It's probably much closer to something Jim Bowie might have carried, Jim Bowie, whatever. I digress. So, upon my first few hours of using it, I noticed a problem with the tang, stuff like that. I was like, whatever, kept using it. That is a terrible sound. That is very bad. And instantaneously I knew that is actually the stag. I don't know if you can see it. Rubbing. It is rubbing against the steel tang. The handle scales are loose. This would not be a problem if these were Torx screws. They are not. They are nails. This right here is to the best of my knowledge, a nail. Someone took a hammer and just pounded that in there. That's not from, there are videos of the Puma factory and stuff like that where they tout their workmanship. There's someone just kind of pounding these nails in there. It's really not precise at all. It looks kind of sloppy, actually, just kind of pretty bad. And I don't enjoy the way it looks. It's just kind of, there's no precision at all, and it's just, they tout it as German workmanship, but it's shoddily made. That sound, not good. That over time is going to create friction in those eyelets, which is going to make it looser. And when it becomes looser, there's a small handling deficit that comes with that. The blade doesn't, it moves in my hand because those handles are loose. And so that's only going to get worse, I'm sure, as the handles wear over time. Now, that's disappointing. Puma is, a company that has been around since the 1700s. That is a long time. That is, longer than any other knife company I can think of. I don't really know. I mean, they've been around forever. So stuff like that you think they would have thought of, made efforts to fix. But sadly, that is not the case. This disappoints me because I paid in the neighborhood of $150 for this knife. That's a lot of money. Now, I mean, for some people, blowing $150 on a knife is not that big of a deal. For me, $150 is a lot of money, and to blow that on a knife, I expect it, especially from Puma, to be the best it can be. Now, this is a Boker Kutzke Shark. I mean, it's a Boker Plus knife that was designed by a guy named Kutzke from Solingen, Germany. Same place that Puma's from. Now, this knife was $80. Not bad at all. It's, the good $70 cheaper than the Puma. This knife is AUS 8 or AUS 8 steel with a two-tone finish. One's more brushed and opaque, and one's so bright you can see yourself in it. and it's just like, the ergonomics are amazing. It's smaller than my Puma, but I much prefer it. The ergonomics are just flawless this direction, and it's this thumb ramp here, and the jimping and everything, it's perfect. I'll post a review on it later, but it's great, and it also has a thumb ramp implying a self-defense usage as well, and things like that. It's, amazing, and I like everything about the knife. And what's shocking about that, I don't know if you can see that, it says it's China. It says made in China. Most likely machined in China. So that is usually indicative of a lower quality of workmanship. But I find that the workmanship in this is better than the workmanship in this. And that is disappointing to me. Handmade in Germany, machine made in China. Better. Now, the sheath is better, much better. Absolutely, no doubt about it. This, you can do anything to the sheath with a knife in it, and it won't come out. This, I don't want to do this because it'll make a terribly loud noise, but like, for whatever reason, if you get a significant jar, this will come a-flying out of its sheath onto the ground, and you may or may not find it, which is bad news. So that's something else that's bad about this knife. Also, this sheath, if it's hanging off of your belt like this, you can see that the sheath is actually the same height as the knife, roughly. So that this isn't rubbing against your side or doing anything of that nature. That's pretty good. This is different. This rubs against your side. It's rather uncomfortable. Not very good. But I do prefer this knife over this one. So, overall, I will be seeing about returning this to the Puma company, hopefully for a full refund. I am not satisfied with it, and the handle is the only problem. If the handle was fit properly and worked properly, this would have been my favorite knife, hands down. But sadly, it is not, and I'm going to see about returning it. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.